loves, welcome back to my channel, The You in Fashion. My name's Megan. On my channel we discuss fashion, luxury, handbags, and lifestyle. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notifications bell down below so you don't miss any of my content. So in today's video we are going to be talking about my handbags that require the most consideration while wearing them. So the ones that when I am taking them out, I am like hawk-eyeing them the whole time. I am getting them inside and out of the car very carefully. I am sitting them down very carefully. I am like eyeing them after I do all of those motions to make sure there's nothing on the handbag. And when I tell you, that can get so exhausting, it can get so exhausting. So when I take these handbags out, I'm really being considerate of where I'm going and how far I'm going and what I'm going to be doing, because that's just how much care that these handbags require when I am taking them out with me. And that is debatable. Did I maybe know that in full totality when I bought them? Maybe not. But is it definitely something that I'm like, this is information I can share and hopefully help you not make the same mistakes that I did with these handbags. And although I would still purchase them, I still clearly have them in my collection, I still really enjoy them, would be something that if I were to do it over again, I probably would have put some things in place to make sure I maybe wasn't as afraid to carry them. So let's go ahead and get started. My first one is going to be my Lady Dior Mini in the Lotus color. And I mean, this color is just beautiful. I absolutely love it. I feel like it goes great with my dress. It goes great with any pinks, purples. I mean, just gorgeous, right? But when I purchased this bag, one of the things that I initially knew about it and I have seen going forward is the handles, right? Because it is a light color. If you are wearing anything on your hands or the movements on the handles, it can cause wear really, really, really quickly. And I know that I'm saying that I should have known this, and I, to a certain extent, was like, I want to go ahead and get a twilly scarf to go with it, but I just loved the look of it by itself. And I feel like it was a very rookie mistake in the sense of I knew I probably should have gotten a twilly scarf for it to go over the handles. And I was like, that doesn't matter. I don't really need that. It's gonna be fine either way. And it was not. And it's one of those things that, like, it's something that you think maybe just in your mind. I'm like, I don't really need a twilly scarf. I'm not going to worry about it. But then you actually start seeing the wear happening and you're like, I really should have done that differently. And it makes me a little bit more nervous to reach for it now. Good news is it's a quick fix. I'm just going to go and grab a twilly and it'll be fine, so that I don't continue to create wear on the handbag. And something moving forward for you guys to consider is if you're going with any top handle bag really, but particularly one of the Lady Dior's that's in a lighter color, it may be ideal to get a twilly to go along with it. I mean, I did that with my Birkin and I'm so glad I did. I feel like the darker colors, so maybe like the blacks, you're fine, but anything light that could show wear on the handles, I would definitely go get a twilly to go along with it. I just wanted to kind of show you, and this is going to be so small. I hope that you could see it, but right there is where I find the wear that most noticeable. Like, this is just how closely though I'm examining these handbags on a regular basis. So it, not by much, but definitely some of the color has rubbed off, particularly in that area. I'm not sure if it was my hands or if I accidentally bumped it up against something, but that is something that I have looked at and now know exactly where it is, enough to be like, you guys, this is a problem. So again, twilly on these lighter colors, so important. Otherwise, I mean, it looks great. I'm really careful with it though. Again, like, I take it out with me a lot to go to dinner and places like that, but I'm really not taking it anywhere that I'm going to be out for long periods of time, or I'm not sure where I'm going or where I'm going to end up. This would not really be the bag because it is so light in color, and I'm terrified of sitting it on a wrong surface, color transfer, things like that. So first bag down, a Lady Dior Mini in the Lotus color. The next one in my collection here is going to be my Chanel Trendy CC. And the reason for this one is it is lambskin, which I'm finding is not the problem. As you guys know, I recently got my Chanel lambskin in the small double flap, and I do not feel that same way about it. Like, I'm much more willing to grab that one than this one. And when I started making this video, it really made me evaluate why. Why am I so much more comfortable with the small than the Trendy CC when I'm grabbing something to go out with? And I really feel like it's two things. First is the shape of the handbag lends itself, I feel like, much more to wear. And let me tell you why I say that. So I feel like even when I was looking in the pre-loved market, I did purchase this one from the Chanel boutique, and this was one of the few ones at that time that I had purchased directly from the Chanel boutique, and that's because they were going for over retail on the pre-loved market, but had more wear than I typically would like to see on handbags when I'm purchasing them pre-loved. And let me tell you where the areas I most saw the wear to this handbag was. So when I was looking in the pre-loved market, I saw the most wear to the corners, particularly these, and of course on the back as well. They would have a lot of rubbing and wear to the corners specifically when I was looking in the pre-loved market. They would also typically have a lot of indentation somewhere. So one of the ones I was looking at, you know, in the quilts on the back had an indentation from where the chain had been left on it. And that is because I feel like there's so much surface area of lambskin on this handbag. And I know that seems funny, but it's a pretty large sized bag. And with all of it being lambskin, it's just so much to make sure that it's not coming into contact with anything that could possibly affect that lambskin leather or cause wear. That's another thing. It has no feet. So whenever you're putting it down, it kind of is. I feel like that's why the surface area on the corners happen so often, is because when you're setting it down, there's no feet. So it's coming into contact with those corners almost first, instantly, whenever you sit it down somewhere. So that's something I really consider when I'm going out, is making sure I'm sitting it on like a soft surface where it's not going to have a lot of rubbing on those corners. I also have to be very, very cautious of the chain, because like I said, ever since I saw that indentation, because you do have the chain that can extend, I would never leave it like that in the fear of it may create an indentation. Or say that I like have it somewhere out and it accidentally falls down on the back, I'm like immediately, even when I'm driving, I'm watching it the entire time while I'm driving it to make sure it doesn't fall down onto itself, to make sure that it's not creating any type of indentations or anything to the lambskin leather. The second point that I hinted on earlier was how you wear it. I wear my small double flap either on my shoulder like this or cross-bodied. Either way, it's close to my body, which I feel like keeps it shielded in a way from like the exterior, because it's going to come in contact with me first, like, if that makes sense. It's not going to typically hit my handbag because that's how close it fits to my body. Where this one, because I wear it top handle more, I feel like has the more capability to be bumped up against surfaces. So say for instance, when I'm just like walking with it alongside, I'm very careful that like as I'm opening my car door that I'm pulling it, or when I'm closing my car door that I have it close to my body, or when I'm walking around, because it doesn't necessarily sit close to your body and it's pretty large. And I mean, look at the width on that thing. It's not a thin bag by any means. It just lends itself to a lot more wear that way, because you have so many corners and sides and fronts and backs to consider while having it that could cause wear to the lambskin leather. So this is the second bag that when I am taking it out, I am like, oh my gosh, I am really, really nervous. I'm watching it at every second. Anytime I take it out, I bring it back immediately and I'm like, oh my gosh, did I rub it anywhere? Did I push it anywhere? Are there any scratch marks anywhere? And that is absolutely terrifying. So second bag that I would definitely take into consideration if you're particular about the wear on your handbags is going to be the Trendy CC. The third handbag that I am very conscious of when I take it out is my medium double flap in the beige color. So I feel like very early on I was aware of color transfer. So there's absolutely no color transfer on this bag. I don't really worry about that at all, because again, I am very conscious of that. So that's something very early on that I consciously only wear this with lighter colors. It is the caviar leather, which is supposed to be more durable. However, with the caviar leather, one thing I wanted to point out that happened with this handbag as well is little parts of it may kind of chip off, and I'm trying to locate it here for you. So if you look really closely right there, you can almost see where a part of the caviar leather got either scratched or it looks like a scratch if I had to explain it the best way that I could. And I know it's super tiny, but like I said, when you spend money on these handbags, you are literally like inspecting them every moment for any type of things that happens to it, because that's just like how much they mean to you after you've spent this type of money on them. So I have no idea when that happened. One day I was just looking and I was like, what is that? What happened to my bag? I really don't know. I really don't know what it scratched up against. I really don't know what caused that little piece of it to kind of be scratched off in that way, but I assume I rubbed up against something while I was out. And that is one thing about the caviar I wanted to point out. This is not the first time I've heard people saying that kind of like the caviar itself will scratch off almost in that way and leave like that missing piece there, or you can clearly see where the caviar itself was scratched off. So I think that that's something really interesting to consider that I hadn't previously known about caviar leather before, because you're like, oh, it's durable, nothing really is going to happen to it. But just be considerate about when you are walking, and scratches to your caviar leather I find is the most important thing to consider. But if it wasn't for that, honestly, the color is great. I wouldn't say in the Chanel caviar beige that you should be concerned about color or color transfer, especially if you wear light colored clothing. You should be fine. I also wouldn't be concerned about, you know, the wear to the quilts and stuff as much either. I don't really see any of that to the handbag either. So fourth handbag is going to be my Chanel 19, and this one comes in the very beautiful slouchy leather, so I absolutely love that. So I don't really worry about the structure of this handbag that much, which is beautiful to not have to worry about that. But again, I'm always, because it's a light brown, and I am super duper concerned about any type of color transfer on it, because it is so light and because it is so much surface area again. So whenever I'm taking this out, I'm really conscious of what it's bumping up against and making sure I'm wearing it crossbody so it's close to my body. I mentioned in the last video of my crossbody handbags that I actually really like this one crossbodied, and it's a good length. When I was in Paris, I wore it that way a lot, but it is a little bit bulky. It is a little bit bigger, which makes it a little bit more prone, I feel like, to stick out and maybe be a little bit more prone to wear in that way. But the biggest reason that I wanted to point this one out is it does have the cloth interior to it, so that makes it harder, I feel like, to keep clean, unfortunately. And I'm really sad about this, but while I was in Paris, like I said, I carried this a lot because it fits a lot. It was crossbodied and it fit great, and I made another mistake myself. I'm like, why? But I knew, so you guys know I love my lipstick colors, like, let's be honest. So while I was there, I kept a baggie with my lipstick in it. I would put it inside of my purses, so I never put my lipstick directly in my purse, because I have in much earlier handbags made that mistake before. Even when they're closed, there may still be a little bit of lipstick around it, and that will come off in your handbag. So I made sure that I put in a baggie before putting them into my handbag, and yet for some reason, I don't know how this happened. If you can see right there, there's two little dots from my lipstick that I was carrying while I was in Paris in my handbag. And it's made me just really like, why? Why did this happen? And when I was in Paris and I noticed it, you kind of want to have a little bit of a temper tantrum, but then you realize it's a handbag and no one else would understand why you're like visibly upset about this. But I feel like if you love handbags, you know what I mean. Anything that happens to these handbags that is outside of the norm, that you're like, oh my gosh, I could kick myself about doing it, I feel like that is something that you'll understand. So the Chanel 19 in general, not too concerned about the wear, But anything with cloth interiors, I mean, really, I know this is something that we all know and something that we learned very early on, but anything with a cloth interior, you should probably have an organizer inside of it so that your lipstick or pins or anything like that is in the organizer and doesn't affect the actual handbag itself. So again, my mistake, my bad. Hoping that you guys learn from my mistakes, and we'll go ahead and move on to the final handbag here. So my fifth and final bag is going to be my Birkin 25 in the A10 color. And the reasoning is, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this bag. I wear it all the time, but it is the top handle. So similarly how I was talking to you guys earlier about the top handles on my mini Dior bag, this definitely has the same problem. However, I was wiser and knew that this was something that happened with the Birkins quite frequently. So I went ahead and purchased the twillies, as you guys know, when I purchased the handbag itself. However, I saw people carrying them all the time without the twillies on it. And I was like, why can't I be that person? Why can't I carry them without the twillies? But the key truly is, as I was saying earlier, I think the darker colors lend for that. So I think black Birkins, not a problem. No issue with that. You're not going to have to worry as much about the handles wearing in that way. But for these grays, lighter colors, I definitely, when you're purchasing handbags for this amount of money, I would definitely recommend just getting a twilly to go along with it so you don't have to worry about it. Now, one thing also with the Birkins that we know is they tend to wear a lot on the corners. And I really feel like even though they have feet on them, when you put them down, of course, the corners, similarly to the Trendy I was talking about, tend to hit the surface first. So that is really something that I take into consideration with my Birkin, is making sure that when I'm sitting it on a surface, again, it's a soft surface or something that is not going to be rubbing the corners of my handbag significantly. And as far as the leather itself, you know, they tell you don't take it in the rain. It comes with a raincoat and everything. So when I tell you, I check the weather advisory. If it's even a percentage of rain, I leave it. I'm like, I'm not going to risk it. I'm too afraid for something that they warned me about and gave me a raincoat for to come on this channel and be like, you guys, took my Birkin in the rain and here's what happened. So I have never taken it in the rain. Like I said, whenever I'm taking this handbag out, I am checking the weather for the day before even going out for the day. However, when I went into my local store recently and she was like, well, where's your bag? You usually have it. And I was like, I left it in the car because it started sprinkling rain. And I was like, I'm not going to risk it. So it's currently locked in my trunk. She kind of did like a chuckle and she was like, you can get a little bit. It's not going to completely ruin your handbag if you get a little bit of water on it. Just make sure you wipe it off immediately. Like, the leathers that we use are great quality leathers and a little raindrop is not going to ruin it. So that was really reassuring, and I'm glad I get a chance to kind of share that advice with you guys too. But in my opinion, for me, because of the things I've already shown you, I'm just really not willing to risk it. So like I said, if I'm not sure where I'm going, I'm not sure if I'll have a place to be able to sit this, if I'm going out to dinner with friends and I'm not sure that there's going to be like a clean surface for me to be able to put it, or if it's supposed to rain, not gonna happen. I'm not gonna take it. You will not see me out with this bag. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I really liked the idea of presenting you guys with the video that's handbags that I absolutely love and keep in my collection, but that are definitely some things you should take into consideration when you're just purchasing handbags in general, but particularly these handbags or these colors or top handles, and what are maybe some special considerations to consider when doing so. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comments below. I do my best to answer each and every one of your comments. By the way, also, my subscribers are continuing to rise, and I really appreciate you guys for subscribing to my channel. I wanted to make sure I put that in here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.